Well, we have it coming around again. President Trump will be making his State of the Union speech, and then he will have the joint session of Congress with all the politicians and the Supreme Court justices and the military generals all there for his big speech about how the country is doing. I remember the one we had last year, and boy, that was a show. The most memorable part to me was the Democrats making complete, utter fools of themselves, looking like a bunch of immature, spoiled brats who didn't get their way. Now, with Harris running against Trump, did anyone really think she was going to win? She never answered any real questions. She never had, good policies to put forth. She would not answer questions with a straight answer and say, I am going to do this. She's like all going off about the school bus and other things. Harris was a DEI hire right from the start. Biden and the people controlling everything for Biden picked Harris to be the vice president because they knew all the women would get all like, oh, we're going to have a woman vice president. I'll vote for her. And that was as far as they could think. It got more votes for Biden, and I won't get into the whole details of that election, but Harris was DEI right from the start and was never going to do any better than that. But anyhow, back to Trump's speech. I was just watching video of his address to Congress from last year, and it's the Democrat. Well, one side of the room, all the Republicans there applauding, clapping, everything's good. They're all happy. And the Democrats, well, they just lost. They lost big. And of all the people to be Republican and back in, Trump is the one who's back in office. And so they're all sitting there, I don't care. I'm not going to agree with anything he says. Everything he says is wrong. It can't possibly be. He's going to take away all our money. And that is what has happened a lot, hasn't it? Trump has taken out a lot of money that was getting just paid out to wherever with no accountability. And a lot of these Democrat politicians were getting all their kickbacks from that money. And that was all taken away. How do you think that Ilhan Omar went from $0 to $30 million net worth in the short amount of time she's been in office? Making less than what, 200 grand a year? Somewhere like that? Yeah, that math doesn't add up, does it? Then you get the whole Omar, daycares, Minnesota, all the fraud and schemes in Somalia there. That's a whole other story. But anyhow, I'm really looking forward to the next speech because the last time the Democrats, they're all, oh, we just have to sit here. We're not going to stand up for the president. We're not going to applaud. We're not going to do nothing. They had their little signs, like the most immature thing ever. Hold up and say, false, lie, no, whatever the sign said. I just saw a picture of John Fetterman was saying how, they were acting like a bunch of little kids last year, and he was hoping they didn't do it again this year. What a surprise here. This Fetterman, he got in as a Democrat, but he's actually the one making the most sense out of all of them. Now, I'm not saying he should be president or reelected or anything. I'm just saying he is doing better than I initially thought. The stroke got his head cleared out there, and he's actually doing what he thinks is right, not just what his party wants him to do. That's the kind of tenacity you have to have. So I wonder what they're going to be like in this coming speech. Are they going to have their little signs up saying, oh, you lie, false, whatever they put on these signs? One of them had a little whiteboard. She was writing things on a whiteboard and holding it up. Like, oh boy, yeah. Admit it, Democrats, your way for the country was wrong. And that was before we found so many of these scams and schemes and fraud that was going on with all your Democrat Party things. Oh, boy. Well, I think it's going to be a fun show when we have the next State of the Union speech and the address to Congress. Just watch the Democrats, because they're all mad because they're losing all this stuff that they had put in place for themselves, all their kickback money and everything. So, of course they're mad about that, but try to hide it a little bit better. So, oh boy. Trump's been doing a great job. He's making the hard choices. He's doing what needs to be done. You know, the homeless thing, the money being wasted, things going to Somalia, all the things. There's a long, long list. I can't get into it all here, but you've seen the news. So research it for yourself there. All right. Well, I think that's all for this episode. That's only like, what, 5 minutes? Oh, okay. I thought it'd take longer. Well, anyhow, that is today's episode. Please hit the like button. Help me work this YouTube algorithm. Write your comments in here. I want to hear what you have to say. I'm sure there's some Democrats watching me too. Write what you think in there. What's Trump doing right and wrong? What are the Democrats and Republicans doing right and wrong? Like this, the AOC thing about, Venezuela is south of the equator. No, it's not. Not any part of it, apparently. I saw the pictures. And then she had some other speech about what would she do for if the United States wanted to help defend Taiwan. And she'd go, I saw some of the comments. Someone wrote in the comments for that video. It says, and the waitress is practicing politics from the Billy Joel song. Yeah. Time for her to go back to being a bartender. Oh, these Democrats. They just cannot admit that their way is wrong. They're used to getting in office, getting their kickback money, and that's as far as they can see. They're not looking at the bigger picture. All right, well, as I was saying before, please hit the like button. Help me work this YouTube algorithm. Write your comments in there and maybe even subscribe. What the heck? All right, that's all for this episode. Thanks for watching, and keep on watching a whole lot more. I've said a lot more things in the other videos. Which way are we looking here? Over to the side, below, whatever, All right.